Welcome to your first video for AP Environmental Science. We're going to have our first video on Chapter 3. And so I will give you the notes and put them out into Google Classroom. So we're going to start out with Section 3.1. I'll break this down into Section 3.1 and 3.2. And then 3.3 will be a video all by itself, and then 3.4 and 3.5 together. So, at the beginning of the chapter, there was a case study that talked about tropical rainforests and how they're disappearing through deforestation. So they're breaking them down, clear cutting them so they can put into some farmland. And what we're finding is that even though the tropical rainforests cover about 2% of the Earth's land surface, it actually contains about 50% of the world's known plant and animal species. And today, over half of that has been destroyed, and they expect the rest of it to be gone by the end of the century. Why should we even care? There's a lot of reasons. Let's talk about some of the harmful effects that the disruption causes. So we reduce the biodiversity, which again reduces the health of the overall ecosystem. And that could lead to extinction of those species. It accelerates global warming, and it also changes regional weather patterns so that area is no longer suitable to actually rebuild the tropical rainforest. So again, those are some of the reasons why we should care about why those tropical rainforests are disappearing. And so here we can take a picture, or there's pictures out there that show, here's a picture on the left from 1975 and showing how much green that we have in Bolivia. And then as far as 2003, we can actually see that breakup of the green as more and more areas getting clear-cutted for farmland to support more people in that particular area. So how does the Earth's life support system work? Well, the Earth has four major components to its life support system, and we'll talk about each one of those individually. But altogether, the first one is atmosphere, or air, the hydrosphere, which is water, and the geosphere, which includes rock, soil, and sediment, and then the biosphere includes all living things, and all four of those work together. So let's talk a little bit about the atmosphere. The atmosphere is a thin layer of gases, and we break that down into a number of different layers, but the two most important ones that we need to know about is the troposphere, and that is where weather happens and includes all the air that we breathe. The stratosphere contains the ozone layer, and the ozone layer is important to protect us from 95% of the UV radiation that we get from the sun. So if we break down that ozone layer, we don't have that protection here on Earth. So again, atmosphere is part of that area, that natural capital of the Earth. The second one is the hydrosphere, which includes all the water on the Earth. So it includes water in the oceans, includes water in the atmosphere, and water even in the organisms. Geosphere, this includes the solid part of the Earth, which includes the crust, the mantle, and the core. It includes renewable soil, and also includes the non-renewable fossil fuels and minerals. And then finally, the biosphere is the living part of the Earth, which includes the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the geosphere. So it is kind of like everywhere that life is found. There are three factors that sustain life on Earth. The first factor is that we have a one-way flow of high quality energy, and that comes from the sun, which goes down into the plants. Plants are then consumed by other living things. Those living things give off energy in the form of heat, and eventually that heat radiates out into space. There's no recycling of this because of that whole second law of thermodynamics. And it's important that there is no recycling of this in the fact that we have the greenhouse effect because things are giving off heat, or living things are giving off heat, and that also helps keep Earth warm enough for life. All right, some of it gets radiated out in space. We get some of it trapped so that we can actually keep the Earth as warm as we need it. The second factor that sustains life on Earth is the cycling of nutrients. And that's through the parts of the biosphere only. And this is a fixed amount. Whatever nutrients we have here on Earth. We don't get much at all from space. So we can't expect a meteor to come in and resupply our Earth with the nutrients that it needs. So again, we have to kind of think about, we do have a cycle of nutrients. And then gravity is important for life on Earth because it holds our atmosphere. It holds our atmosphere here. With no gravity, just like the moon, there is no atmosphere. So this also enables cycling of those nutrients. So we need those three factors to sustain life on Earth. All right, so just a quick diagram that's in your book that shows you that greenhouse Earth that we need that kind of heat. So here we have the solar energy powers the Earth climate system, shortwave radiation, and roughly half of that incoming solar radiation is absorbed by the Earth's surface, and the other is reflected back into space. Out of that 50% that is absorbed, some of that is converted to heat and emitted as long wave radiation. And some of that infrared radiation escapes into space, but most of it is absorbed by those greenhouse gases and clouds in our atmosphere. And this keeps the Earth warm and keeps us viable here for life, that it doesn't get too cold. All right, so we're going to stop here.